Okay, Stephen Key, inventRightTV. I get to see ideas from a lot of different people, but during this video, you're going to watch someone that's done something so remarkable. You're like, wow, this should be everywhere. Watch this video because you never know who's going to come up with the next greatest idea. Okay, everybody, Stephen Key, inventRightTV. And today I have a very special guest because the product that he has invented, I think is absolutely amazing. And we're going to get to that in just a minute. Doctor, thank you for coming on inventRightTV. Could you talk a little bit about what you do and your invention? Because I think it's actually amazing.
Hi. What I do is I my practice is specialized in dental implants, and what I invented in 1990 is immediate tooth replacement. As a matter of fact, I have this significance of being the only FDA-approved implant since 1994, where it's approved for immediate tooth replacement. In other words, you can walk in with a bad tooth and get a brand new tooth, walk out chewing, eating, and functioning normally. Now, there's been attempts to do this, with the other implants, with the screw implants. They give you instructions. If it's a small tooth, that you can't chew on it. If you chew on it, it'll fail. So, or you have to bury it for 6 months. A lot of patients have experienced this thing. And when you take a tooth out, you lose the gum and bone. So you have to have grafting, gum and bone grafting, and then implant. It takes about 14 months to bring back a tooth in the aesthetic zone. We do it in an hour, and we keep all the gum and bone that is around that tooth, and patient walks out chewing, eating right away.
Okay, now wait a minute. How did you invent this? Because I saw the video, we're going to show the video, but how did you come up with this brilliant idea?
So the mechanics of this are pretty simple. Implantology, implants came about in the United States in the late 80s, and around 80, 87, 88. And this was basically a screw. You basically came in, Professor Brandemark from Europe said, in order to implant a tooth, you have to drill a hole, put the screw in, and the secret is 4 to 6 months of waiting for that screw, for bone to bond to that screw. So when I was taking my first course in implantology, when the professor was talking about it, and they said we have to wait for bone to come to the screw to heal, I just thought about a molly bolt, one of these screws that actually expand. I said, why wait? Why not use a molly bolt and put the tooth on it right away? So there was a lot of questions on that, and it's interesting. A few nights later, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up my wife. I said, I think this is going to be an incredible idea. So I started doing some research on it. Those days there was no internet where you could do. You had to drive to libraries, UCLA library, and go up there, open the books and everything to see what happens to bone with pressure. And I found out that with orthopedic surgeons and orthodontic situations, when you put light pressure on bone, bone resorbs. That's how teeth are moved with braces.
Okay.
So you have to be very lightly when bone experiences light pressure, it resorbs and then the tooth can move. But when you put harder pressure on it, that soft bone, I mean, bone usually in the jaw is made up of a hard shell and then spongy bone inside. That spongy bone, when it's compressed, what happens is that it builds and becomes denser.
Okay.
So actually, the quality of the bone improves by that micro fracturing of that spongy bone that is inside there. So anyway, we started doing testings and all that, and about 3 years, I submit all my results to FDA. 94, this became the first, still only that is FDA cleared or immediate full functional loading. This allows you to do it with one tooth, two teeth, or all your teeth.
Okay, so wait a minute. Let's talk about the first time you made a prototype. How did you do
Mm.
that? I mean, did you use a Molly bolt? I mean, how did you do that?
Yeah, prototype, making medical prototypes is pretty expensive. So I experienced it every time I wanted to make a change, it was like $1,000. So I went to this guy that was manufacturing the biggest implant manufacturer, regular screw implant manufacturers. So I went to him. I said, "Listen, this is my idea, and I need you to make me some prototype." He looked at it. He said, if you're right with this idea, I'm going to lose a lot of my business from the screw. Here's a deal I'm going to make with you. I'm going to give you all your prototypes for free. But if it works, you promise that I will be your manufacturer always.
Oh,
We made that deal. And he certainly started giving me prototypes, which I used first on animal bone. And then I went to university and we had some human bone that we tested as far as
okay.
pressures and things like that until I came up with the first prototype. So I had the first prototype in my office and I'm looking for the right patient. And the right patient was a patient, a friend of mine that I treated in school, and he had gum disease and he lost four front teeth. So I called him. I said, "Listen, I have this, implant that I've invented. I want to give you these four front teeth, but I'm not going to do all four. I'm going to give you one first. Watch it for a few months, and if it works, I'll give you another one on the other side, and then I'll give you a bridge." He said, "Okay." So I forms, consent forms from attorneys, and he had to sign, and he talked about all the possibilities, even possibility of death. So as he's reading it, he said, Sargon, can I die from this procedure?" I said, "I don't think so." He said, "What's the worst that can happen?" I said, "It'll probably fall in your hand. It's not going to work."
Okay.
He said, "Okay." I said, "All right, I'm going to do the first one, but you have to come in my office every day." At that time, my office was in Beverly Hills. I said, "I have to see you every day." So I did the first implant. I put a crown on it, a temporary crown on it, and he would come to my office every day. I would check it, tap on it, look at it, and everything was fine. And he knew I was very nervous, because until I'd see him,
All right.
so he started coming in the office. He would stick his head and he said, "I'm okay. Everything is fine. It's still there." Anyway, after a month, I said, "This is pretty stable. Let me do the other one." I put another one here and I gave him a four unit bridge. So I gave him the 14. Watched it for 6 months and I did five more. And I realized that I achieved immediate integration with both. So I came down Beverly Drive in Beverly Hills and ran the whole street screaming immediate integration. People, this guy is crazy. That was the start of it in 1990. That was the first
Nice.
one.
So one of the biggest benefits is that a typical implant only lasts so long. Is that correct? And because you do lose some bone, is that right?
This is very important. I just had an 18-year-old patient, her parents contacted me that she needs two front teeth, two lateral. They did braces on her. She was missing, congenitally missing teeth laterals. And she's taken her to surgeons that are very experienced, and they've told her that no, we'll give you some kind of temporary bridge for now, because if we give her implants now, another 10, 15 years, with the bone loss and the gum loss, when she smiles, she's going to start showing the threads of the implant and all that. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced them. You see people smiling and laughing with implants, and then they have the metal showing. Now, it turns out that one of the advantages of this implant is the design of it. Now, when you put a cylinder, a screw, in bone, and you put side to side pressure on it, it's called lateral pressure. When you put side to side pressure on it, the pressure is concentrated on top of the bone. That's where the bone craters and
Okay.
starts losing. And you see that bone going up and eventually implant failed. That's when the lateral pressure, that happens more in the front teeth, when the teeth hit each other from side to side. The back teeth, because the forces are longitudinal, screws do fine. But when it comes to front teeth, when they hit each other from side, that's when you see that bone loss. Now, it turns out that the minute the implant becomes wider at the bottom, we call that an Eiffel Tower effect. All the lateral forces are transmitted to the deep side of the bone, not the crest of it.
Interesting.
So we have cases that are 30, 35 years, have not changed. They look the same. So that's why this patient, a young patient, I told her definitely we can do it in like an hour. Give her the teeth, and she can be comfortable that she's not going to be losing bone with years.
Hey, how's your product doing? Do you wish you were selling more, getting wider distribution, even more funding? You can do it all at once with InventRight. We'll help you partner with major companies that have the connections, the cash, and the reach, and we'll help you do it faster and with less risk. Yes, faster and less risk. So visit inventright.com, click on Contact Us. We'd love to talk to you and explain more on how we can do this for you. This is our Gateway program, so make sure to ask about Gateway when you reach out. Now let's get back to the show.
Did you, when you first got into this profession, did you think you were going to be an inventor?
You know, I applied to dental school, and in my application, I submitted an application that I submitted for a toothbrush with the water pressure. There was no water pit those days. Okay, there was no water pit. So I said we put water, and the water will come through the toothbrush and turn the bristles and come out like a with water pit. It was a combination turning bristles and water. I'd done a patent search, and finally a patent was too expensive. I just done a patent search,
Okay.
because this is
All right.
good, and you can patent it. I put it in my dental application, and that was one of the reasons that the doctor that was interviewing me got very interested and got me in the dental school. Yeah.
So you have that ability to fix things. You know what's interesting? Over the years, I've worked with a lot of people in your profession because it seems like you're fixing things and you're always looking at different ways to do it better. Is that true?
Well, unfortunately, with majority of dentists, they basically have this attitude of following what they learned in dental school.
Okay.
Most dentists, they just basically are comfortable with the steps that they've learned, and they do it. They're very hard to convince to change to do new things. My personality was always that if there's a problem, something that is bothering me, there should be an answer for it.
Got it.
So yeah, so my mentality is always, I mean, the first instrument that I used in dental school, I was trying to carve a tooth, and I said if it was, made slightly different, it would be easier on the hand so the hand doesn't get tired. And I told the instructor came and said, listen, he told me, he said, listen, why don't you learn how to use that instrument first before you start redesigning all of this?
So let's talk a little bit about getting some type of FDA approval. That's a long and difficult process, isn't it?
For dental implants, usually it's a 510K procedure. A 510K procedure, as long as you come up with an implant that looks similar to other implants,
Okay.
as far as material and design. So if a company wants to make a screw implant, all you do is file an application and tell the FDA, hey, listen, I'm making a screw implant. It's the same as that original one that you guys approved. And, it has threads, it's titanium, then they give you a 510K approval.
Okay.
So in 1992, I tried to do that. I went and gave this implant that would expand, and I would put tooth on it right away. I said, well, it's similar to the screw. It's the same material. It has threads, but it expands, and I can put a tooth on it right away. The FDA said, no, you can't do that. So you have to submit studies to prove your point. So this, besides the first implant that was invented by Vandermark, this is the second implant that was required to show studies for its approval.
Wow. So let's talk about intellectual property. Is it hard to file on that, or did you file on that?
I did file on that, and then we, a few years ago, we filed as we improve it and we build on it and things like that. We filed new patents, and now we have like 3 new patents that are like about 4 or 5 years old on the latest version.
Nice. So do people travel far to have you work? I mean, this is so innovative. Do you have patients that are just local? Do people travel?
Yes, I can. I can't name you specifically, but I can name you royal family members from the countries where they were flown here, and basically they blocked this street and took out 30 teeth and replaced all their teeth in a matter of 2 visits, and they fly back to their country, and now you see them on
Okay.
TV.
Where are you
So
located? Where are you located now?
my location, I have 2 locations in Encino, Los Angeles, Encino, California, and also West Hollywood.
Okay. You're pretty busy.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thank you so much for sharing your journey with everybody at InventRight TV.
sure, my pleasure.
I think it's brilliant. I saw it. I get it. I mean, it's one of those things that when you explained it, it was like, well, that makes sense. It did. I could even understand it.
Yeah, the patients get it really fast. You know, it's interesting. Sometimes patients get it faster than doctors because the doctors want to continue doing the thing that they were doing before, but patients say, "Oh yeah, Mongo, of course, I want one of those." So I
Wow.
mean, the first time I did the procedure, you know, I would put the screw and moldable in my hand. I said, "This one takes 6 months, and this one would be immediate. And which one would you want?" And always was, "Oh, I'll take that. I'll take that." Yeah. So patients always went for that.
Yeah, I think the greatest idea is that there's a pain point and it's very obvious, and you solved a huge pain point for people. So congratulations on all your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, InventRight TV, Stephen Key, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. All right, conclusion. What can I say? This is a brilliant idea from a brilliant doctor. I absolutely love it. It's simple to understand. You never know who's going to come up with the next greatest idea.